Hello, cyberspace astronauts. Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, featuring Todd Cook, with special guest Todd Cook. Now broadcasting from his garage, here he is, Todd Cook.
The trampoline is done. The trampoline is finally done. Thank you very much. I am Todd Cook, and I'm broadcasting to you live from my garage in Wichita, Kansas. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my podcast, The Todd Cook Show. The trampoline, which I have talked about on previous episodes, is finally back in place where it needs to be in the yard. It took me a little while to take it apart and reassemble it correctly, but not nearly as long as it did to the original time when I put it together incorrectly. But one thing, though, is even after I put it back together, I think that the net might be inside out. And here's the problem. The net's, it's got the zipper on there, and it's got this little latch, like a little hook, that you can use to keep the zipper closed so you can't accidentally open it. Or at least that's what I thought. I think my wife thinks it's so that you can lock your kids in there and they can't get out, without you knowing that they want out and you letting them out. But I actually debated this as I was putting it up, because the logic I was using in my brain was, if somebody is inside the trampoline and they're jumping around, and if they fall against the zipper, you don't want the zipper to come undone and have that person fall out. So I thought that the little latch, the little lock mechanism needed to be on the inside. So whoever is on the inside has the ability to lock it. Because if you're in there by yourself and there's nobody on the outside, who's going to lock it for you? So that's why I put it on the inside. But then my wife noticed it, and she said, I think that's supposed to be on the outside, and that's so when the kids are inside, the parents can lock it, and the little kids can't unzip the zipper and, fall out without you knowing that they're trying to get out. You have to open up the zipper for them, unzip it so that they can get out. And I think she's probably right. But my logic was pretty sound too, I thought anyway. But anyway, it's up now, and I'm going to leave it how it is. I'll find a way to lock the zipper. I don't think I'm going to undo it again. And I've talked about this trampoline on several shows now, so I'm not going to spend too much more time on it. But it's pretty time-consuming to go and take that net all the way off and flip it back over. So if it becomes an issue, I will do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it how it is and maybe find a way to lock it myself. I got a new mic stand here, too. I just now thought about that. The sound quality on this program, on this particular episode, which is actually episode 7, and will be the best episode, of course. As I always say, every episode is better than the last. So this is episode 7 of the Todd Cook Show, and I hope that it will be the best episode that I have done thus far. But I got this new mic stand here. I've actually had it for a while. A friend of mine's let me use it, but I did not have the right size clip on top to screw onto the top of the mic stand that would hold my mic. But I was cleaning out my basement, and I'm going to talk about this later in the show. I was cleaning out my basement, and I found the right size mic clip, so I screwed it on there, and now I'm able to stay closer to the microphone, hopefully, and everything will sound a little bit better, because I had been trying to hold it, and that makes it just that much more difficult to keep the correct distance, when your hand moves and your head moves and everything. Right now, I'm on a mic stand, so hopefully that will help a little bit. Keep this show playing in the background, by the way. No matter what you're doing right now, there's no reason why you can't just keep the show playing and, go about your business, checking your Facebook or emails, whatever you need to do. And by the way, my email is thetoddcookshow@gmail.com. Feel free to email me and ask me any question you might want. Maybe suggest a musical artist that I can play on this program. Coming up later, I got the musical artist of today is Jeremiah Johnson. And I don't know much about this guy. He just came highly recommended by a friend on Facebook, and I'm going to play his song coming up right before the show is over, towards the end of the program that will be on. And also have a celebrity sighting. me and my family sighted a celebrity right here in Wichita. Now, if we lived in L.A. or somewhere out west in that area in California, seeing celebrities are probably not that big of a deal. But here in Wichita is kind of a big deal. And in fact, they're probably not the biggest celebrities in the world out there, but they are on TV quite frequently, and we saw them, and I'm going to tell you all about that coming up in just a little bit. I want to start out here by talking about some sippy cups that my wife bought for my son. My son he's 2 years old, and of course he needs a sippy cup. If he didn't have a sippy cup, he'd spill it all over. He's getting to that point now where he's starting to get where he can use both hands and hold a cup and bring it up and drink if somebody's there to help him, but he still needs a sippy cup. And the problem is he doesn't want to hold it the right way. He doesn't hold it like a normal kid, with both hands around the sides of the cup, or at least one hand around the side of the cup. He wants to hold it from the top of the cup, from the rim of the cup where the lid is attached. And that's how he holds his cup. And I don't know why. My son's weird that way. For some reason, he has to hold it from the top with like one hand. And we've had problems with the lids, popping off and making a mess. So my wife went out and bought some sippy cups that have a screw-on lid instead of the normal pop-on ones. Sounds like a brilliant idea. Great idea. My wife comes up with great ideas all the time. So we thought this was going to solve the problem. And it does. I mean, he still holds it up by the rim, but he can't. There's no way he can get it off. In fact, not only can he not get it off, but neither one of us can ever get it off as well. It's something to do when you screw it on there. And the first few times I thought, well, we just got to be careful. Don't put it on there too tight. We don't realize how tight we're getting it. We're worried that he's going to get it off, so we go a little bit tighter than we really need to. But every time we try to take the lid off so that we could, wash it and refill it, it was like this big struggle. We're like, I'm like using all the strength I got, using a towel to get a grip and like pulling it off. And I was like, why is this thing always so tight? And no matter, when I put it on there, I would make sure that I did not have it on there too tight. But then when I go to take it off, it was always too tight. And I think it has something to do with him, tipping it back and, sucking on it a little bit, the air pressure that gets in there. I don't know what the problem is, but there's for some reason, every time you try to take the lid off this thing, it's very difficult. And I'm trying to, once again, I wish I could just tell my son or teach him, hold your cup the right way. So we don't have to worry about the lids coming off. But for some reason, he has to hold it on the rim there. And I think I might suggest to my wife that maybe she can take a knife or something and poke a hole on the back side of the lid. You got the hole on the front side, where he drinks out of, and then put one on the back, and maybe that would add some ventilation somehow, like they do with gas cans or whatever. Just maybe get some air in there so when he sucks it, it doesn't seal it really tight. I think that's what it is, but it's become a bit of an issue around our house. Is every time she goes to wash a sippy cup or I go to wash it, it's like this big ordeal where we got to wrestle that lid to try to get it off. And the whole reason that we got it was because we didn't want it to come off for him, but we had no idea that it would make it difficult for us to get off. So anyway, that's been a bit of a problem. Hopefully we'll have that solved here before too long by maybe poking a hole in the back of the lid like I suggested. Once again, send me an email. Tell me what you think about the show. My email address is thetoddcookshow@gmail.com. That's thetoddcookshow@gmail.com. Tell me about this show. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like. Actually, no. Don't tell me anything you don't like, because those emails can be really long, and I don't want to listen to any of that. Just tell me what you like about the show or anything that you might want to. And once again, suggest a musical artist that I can play on this program. I try to play one song by a local musical artist here in Wichita. And if you know anybody out there that would like to have their show on this program, or they wouldn't mind having this show on their program, I will buy their song off of iTunes, and I will play it on this show. So it's a win-win situation for them. They'll get at least one more purchase off of the iTunes by me, and they will also get, a dozen or so people listening to the song who might not have heard it before. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. Jeremiah Johnson is coming up, and also I want to tell you about that celebrity sighting in just a moment, so stick with me.
The Todd Cook Show will be right back.
Hi folks, it's me, Todd Cook, and boy do I have a deal for you. Do you have a business or a website, or maybe just an event that you want to promote? but you don't have the money to invest? Well, why not try to accomplish that right here on the Todd Cook Show? Free of charge. That's right. You can run an ad right here on this podcast free of charge. However, once the Todd Cook Show starts to pick up more and more listeners, the free offer will expire. So take advantage now. All you have to do is send your recorded commercial, which is 30 seconds or less, to me at this email address, thetoddcookshow@gmail.com. That's thetoddcookshow@gmail.com, and I will play it as time allows. So send me that commercial now and help the Todd Cook Show, and the Todd Cook Show will help you. All right, I am back. Thank you once again for listening to me. Send an email to me if you have any questions whatsoever. I will do my best to answer those questions for you. TheToddCookShow@gmail.com. We got Jeremiah Johnson coming up with a song called You Forgot to Say Goodbye in just a moment. And when I went on iTunes to check him out, like I said earlier, I did not know much about him. But as I was on iTunes and I was trying to figure out which one of his songs I wanted to play, it was difficult to choose. You know, when you go to iTunes, you can play, a few seconds of each of his songs, and every one of them sounded like really neat songs. And so it took me a while to decide which one, and I guess that's a pretty good sign. This guy's probably pretty good. Like I said, he came highly recommended out of a friend from Facebook. So Jeremiah Johnson with You Forgot to Say Goodbye coming up in just a moment. But now it is time for my celebrity sighting. And once again, I'm here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not in Hollywood. I'm not in L.A. I'm not in Beverly Hills or any place like that. I'm in Wichita, Kansas, but I saw some celebrities. Me, my wife, and my son got to meet and take pictures with and had autographs from some celebrities. Now, and these are not the big celebrities, as I said. They're not, Tom Cruise or nothing like that, but I've actually mentioned these people before on this program. Some of you listened a few episodes back. I talked about how my son, when he grows up, he wants to become a Bigfoot hunter. And the reason for that is that there is a program on the Animal Planet. I don't know why I keep saying the Animal Planet. I think I said that once before, but there's a show on Animal Planet. It's called Finding Bigfoot. And there's a cast of 4 people that go out into different areas where Bigfoots have been sighted all across the country and even around the world. They've been to Australia and maybe even some other places. I'm not real sure. I know they've been overseas to Australia and multiple places throughout the United States, and they hunt for Bigfoot. And my son, for whatever reason, started watching this show, and he likes it a lot. And so when he grows up, he's going to become a Bigfoot hunter. And next to SpongeBob, I think the Finding Bigfoot is the only TV program that he requests quite frequently. And we had found out after I recorded that last podcast where I talked about this show, shortly thereafter I found out that the cast of Finding Bigfoot were coming to the Wichita area because some guy out in Cheney Lake had taken a picture of something that they thought might be a Bigfoot, and there had been other sightings in the area. So they were going to come out here to Kansas, the Wichita area, and film an episode of Finding Bigfoot. And so me and my wife, knowing that Johnny was a big fan, we tried to get reservations to their town hall meeting. We didn't know where it was going to be or exactly, but there was going to be a town hall meeting. And so we sent an email in and tried to get a reservation, which is what they told us to do. But we got denied. It said it was already full, and like I said, we sent it in right after we heard about it. But the place that they already had enough reservations. There was no more room, so we're kind of disappointed about that. But my wife sent an email in and started having some contact with one lady on there, and she's like, really sorry. I wish she had some time, but they didn't think they were going to be able to make it. Anyway, a long story short, and this was last weekend, but this recent weekend, we were at Cabela's, which is a big outdoor store, and we went out there, and on our way home, it was just me and my wife and my oldest son, who's 6, and our youngest son was at home with grandma. And on the way back, we were going to stop at a liquor store, but we didn't know where one was there in that area. We don't travel out there in that area of Wichita too often. And on the way home, it's nothing but interstate or Highway 96 and I-135 all the way back to our house. And we live one block off of 135. And so we didn't want to have to get off the highway and find a liquor store or go out of our way. We thought, this is a kind of a shopping district. Maybe there's one right here. And so as we're pulling away from Kabbalah's, we go into a hotel. I go in to ask for directions. And I see one of the characters from Finding Bigfoot. And this guy his name is Bobo. And if you looked at him and you didn't know what his name was and you had to guess what his name might be, I think I would guess his name might be Bobo. He's about like 6'4", big guy, dark hair, kind of long, and always wears his hat. And it's not one of those situations where I looked and I was like, is that him? That kind of looks like that guy from that show. No, it wasn't that. I saw him and I said, that's Bobo. But before I got out the door, he went inside, and I almost forgot what I was doing, but I walked in shortly after he did, and then I looked around, and there was like another whole room there where you can't see it, and I didn't want to go around just nosing my way around, so I just went up to the front desk and did what I asked him where there was a liquor store was, and there happened to be one real close to us, so it's good that we did ask. But then as I go back outside, I go back out to the car, and I tell Samantha, and I didn't want to get Johnny excited in case, we didn't get a chance to meet him. I said, I just saw Bobo. He's in that hotel. Long story short, Samantha goes in and runs into the lady. Her name is Renee. There's 4 of them. There's Bobo, there's Renee, who's the only lady, and then there's Mike, and then there's a guy named Cliff. And like I said, the only reason I know all this is because my son watches it all the time. And she goes in there, by herself. I'm getting Johnny out of the car, but she goes in and looks around and just happens to run right into Renee, the lady on the program. So anyway, we all go in there, and Johnny just could not be more thrilled when he saw these guys. It was funny when he saw Renee first, and we said, does this look familiar to you? Does she look familiar? And he looked at her, and he's like, that's Renee. And so he recognized her right away, and she was really nice, talked to him for a while, and then we went in the other room, and that you couldn't see from the front desk. You had to go around the corner there, and there's Bobo. And Johnny sees Bobo, and he goes up to him, and he's like, hi. He's like, I watch your show all the time. And Bobo looks down and said, hey, what's your name? And this is the funny part. Johnny goes, my name's Bobo. I mean, no, you're Bobo. My name's Johnny. And so Bobo talked with him and gave him an autograph, and we took pictures. And then Mike, who's not as recognizable as Renee, Renee being the only female person on the cast, is pretty easy, that's Renee. And then Bobo being very recognizable, he saw him. And I had to point out Matt, Moneymaker, who was sitting there at a counter. And Johnny went around and met him and talked to him and took a picture with him. And then Cliff, who might be the most unrecognizable guy in the group, came around the corner. And I didn't think Johnny would recognize him at all. But he stopped and looked at the guy, and he goes, that's Cliff, just as quick as could be. And Johnny was thrilled. And we got pictures with all of them. And Renee was really nice, sat down and talked to Johnny for quite a while about, because he said he wanted to be a Bigfoot hunter. And he was all excited about that, and she told him how he's got to learn about the outdoors and stuff, because she's actually a scientist. Renee's a scientist. The other guys, I think, are just Bigfoot enthusiasts, and she's a skeptical scientist, but she's a biologist, and so it was really neat. And we went up to Bobo, and when they go out and do their Bigfoot hunting, they have these Bigfoot calls that they do, and Johnny had been practicing, his, just basically a big yell. I'll get away from the microphone so I don't blow out. Or whatever it is, something like that. And Johnny started practicing this, and he had 2 different ones that he worked out, and he showed them to Bobo, and Bobo helped him and said, you got to open up your mouth a little bit wider, put your hands up there, and Johnny did a couple more times. And I was actually worried, because Johnny's not much of a performer. When he gets in front of people and you ask him to do something, ask him to sing a song or something, he won't do it. He's not a big, guy that likes to get up and perform in front of people. But he did a good job with his Bigfoot calls and stuff right there for Bobo. So it was really neat to have that chance to meet them. They could not have been nicer people. And I might have joked about the program on that on the last show, but now I got a whole new take on it, because they're really nice people, and it actually is a kind of a neat show. It's completely harmless, a nice little program, and And Johnny watches it, and he enjoys it. And I told him, I said, next to SpongeBob, you guys are the ones that he'd like to meet the most. And so he got to meet his favorite celebrities, his favorite TV personalities. And the only way I could describe it was like some pretty girl had come up to him and gave him a compliment. And he was all starry-eyed and had this cheesy smile on his face. But it was quite a thrill for all of us, especially. I think actually my wife might have enjoyed it even more than he did. But so anyway, my family gets to meet the cast of Finding Bigfoot right here in Wichita, Kansas, and it just so happens to be my son's favorite show, next to probably SpongeBob. But I don't think SpongeBob's going to be walking in anytime soon. Maybe somebody in a SpongeBob costume. But anyway, all right, let's go into that song now. It's time to play that song by Jeremiah Johnson. You can look him up on iTunes. Just make sure that you spell Johnson correctly. It's S-E-N at the end instead of S-O-N like most Johnsons would be. So Jeremiah Johnson on iTunes. Buy a song, buy his whole album. He's a really talented artist. And like I said, I did not know much about him, but I've heard really good stuff about him. And I bought a song off iTunes. It's called You Forgot to Say Goodbye, and I'm going to play it for you right now. So here it is, Jeremiah Johnson with You Forgot to Say Goodbye on The Todd Cook Show.
I got what I deserve now that you're not here with me. You told me just the other day how you couldn't live a lie. You said you told me everything, got to say goodbye. I keep on thinking somehow I could have done things differently. You would not have took the course that made you set me free. Excuses up and I stood there and I watched you cry. You said you had nothing left to say, but you forgot to say goodbye. Yeah. forgot to say goodbye. Bye, yeah, you forgot to say goodbye.
Jeremiah Johnson, everybody. Johnssen. Make sure you spell that correctly. Sen. Jeremiah Johnson. Go to iTunes, type that name in, and you'll find his songs. You can buy his entire album right there on iTunes. All right, I want to finish the show here telling you about how my wife and I finally spent some time cleaning our basement out, and we have a finished basement. You know, there's carpet down there. It's a nice little living space. At least I think it is. My wife is not always as thrilled about it as I am. She thinks it's a little gloomy down there. There's not real good lighting, but it's a nice little living space when we go down there to actually use it. The problem is we had not been down there in quite some time, at least not with any level of consistency. And it used to be that my band would practice down there once a week, and so I would have to go down there and make sure it was at least straightened up enough, you know, that the four guys, you know, could get down there and practice. But we've been practicing at another guy's house for probably a year or more now, and so the basement got kind of out of control. My son was, my 6-year-old son was really the only one that would go down there consistently, and it became basically a big pile of toys. And I don't mean just some toys. There was literally a pile of toys that had accumulated over in the corner. And I thought we might needed a bulldozer or something to be able to push it over and get it out of there. But we decided to go down there, and I was just wondering how could we let this happen as we're going down there and trying to pick all this stuff up. But and Samantha asked me at some point as we're going through this stuff, you know, we're filling up box after box, and I'm giving her the boxes. I'm just picking it up and just throwing it in the boxes. That's all my job is getting it in the boxes and then giving it to her. And her job was to go through the boxes and separate, you know, maybe this one in the trash, it's broken, and this one to the Goodwill maybe, and this one we can keep. And, you know, trying to separate her or however she was going to do it. And at some point she asked me, she goes, "How do you want me to separate these things?" I said, set a stack over here for the toys that you want to throw into this trash can here. And then set another stack over here of the toys that you want to throw into the trash can over here. I just want to throw it all away. Just get rid of it. I mean, there was just a ton of it down there, but we worked on it for quite some time. And we got a lot of it done. It's looking a lot better down there. We're still not... Actually, we got all the toys. The toys are taken care of. But I decided while we were down there that I was going to rearrange the furniture and stuff a little bit. And so I started doing that and moving the treadmill and moving the futon and the TV. Takes a little while. But I think we're going to get it done today. I think before... And it's just amazing, too. When I looked at all those toys, it was amazing to think, look at all these toys we got. And those weren't all the toys in the house. Those are just some of the toys. And we have toys upstairs in his bedroom, and there's toys in my youngest son's bedroom, and there's a toy box in the living room that we keep there. So when they play with toys in the living room, they just put them back into that toy box. Actually, there's 2 toy boxes in the living room. So there are toys everywhere, and just standing down there in that pile of toys in the corner of the basement, I just remember thinking to myself, why do we keep buying toys? We just had way too many of them. But I think we're going to get down there tonight and finish getting things organized down there. I think before we go to bed tonight, we will have it done. Maybe. All right, that's the end of this program. Thanks again for everybody listening. I want to thank once again, I doubt they'll ever hear this, but the cast from Finding Bigfoot, Renee, Bobo, Matt, and Cliff. Really nice people, and it really made my son's evening. He still can't believe it. He was smiling all the way home, and he's still smiling now. So Thanks to Jeremiah Johnson for the great music, and thanks to Clay Richmond, the voice of the Todd Cook Show. And tune in next week and let me do the talking. Bye.